Something shifted in your field before you clicked on this video. You felt it, didn't you? That subtle pull, that inexplicable knowing that you needed to be here, right now, reading these exact words. This isn't coincidence. This isn't algorithm. This is your quantum field recognizing itself in a frequency it's been searching for. Your body knows something your mind hasn't caught up to yet. There's a tremor running through your nervous system, a recalibration happening at the cellular level. Your DNA is responding to information that exists beyond these words, beyond this screen, beyond the dimension of ordinary understanding. Here's what nobody tells you about quantum resets. They don't wait for permission. They don't announce themselves with fanfare. They slip into your reality through a crack in your awareness, through a moment when your guard drops, through an instant when you're vulnerable enough to let the old version of you dissolve. That moment is now. You've been preparing for this without knowing it. Every breakdown that felt like the end was actually clearing space. Every loss that shattered you was removing what couldn't make the journey. Every dark night you wandered through was rewiring your consciousness for frequencies your old self could never hold. The universe doesn't make mistakes with timing. The fact that your eyes are scanning these words, that your consciousness is absorbing this frequency, that something in you is vibrating with recognition. This is confirmation that your quantum reset has already begun. But let me be clear about what's actually happening, because this isn't what you've been taught about transformation. This isn't about becoming better. This isn't about fixing what's broken. This is about remembering what you've always been and allowing everything that contradicts that truth to fall away. For years, maybe decades, you've been transmitting a signal. Not with your words, not with your intentions, not with your hopes or your vision boards or your carefully constructed affirmations. You've been broadcasting with something far more powerful and far more honest. Your state of being. Your nervous system has been encoded with patterns from experiences you don't even consciously remember. Moments when you learned that the world wasn't safe, that love comes with conditions, that you need to shrink yourself to be acceptable, that your authentic expression is too much or not enough. These weren't just psychological wounds. They became quantum signatures, electromagnetic frequencies that your body broadcasts every single moment, creating an invisible field around you that shapes every experience you have, every person you meet, every opportunity that does or doesn't appear. Dr. Bruce Lipton's research proved something that mystics have known forever. Your cells are literally reading the environment and adjusting their expression accordingly. But here's the part that changes everything. You are the environment. The frequency you hold, the state you embody, the consciousness you operate from. That's the environment your cells are responding to. Your body has been living in the emotional climate of your past. It's been marinating in the chemistry of old stories, outdated beliefs, and inherited limitations. And every single day, it's been creating more of the same, because that's what bodies do. They seek homeostasis. They try to maintain the familiar, even when the familiar is painful. This is why changing your thoughts alone never worked. This is why positive affirmations felt hollow. This is why you could visualize a different life and still wake up to the same reality. Because beneath the conscious mind, your body was still broadcasting the old frequency, still collapsing the same quantum possibilities into form. But something has been shifting. Haven't you felt it? A restlessness that won't be satisfied with the old comforts. A dissatisfaction that can't be explained by circumstances. A knowing that whispers, "There's more, there's more, there's more." Even when you can't articulate what that more is. That restlessness isn't a problem. It's the first signal that your quantum reset has activated. If this truth is landing in your body right now, write one word in the comments. Activated. Don't overthink it. Just let your fingers type what your quantum field already knows. This simple act creates an energetic signature in the field, confirming to the universe that you recognize what's happening within you. Your body is beginning to reject the old frequency. The chemistry that used to feel normal now feels foreign. The thoughts that used to run on autopilot now create friction. The behaviors that used to be automatic now require conscious effort because they're no longer aligned with where your consciousness is heading. This discomfort is sacred. It's the gap between who you've been and who you're becoming. And that gap is where all transformation lives. Let's talk about what's really been happening in your reality. The numbers you keep seeing, those aren't random pattern recognition. The dreams that feel more real than waking life, those aren't just your subconscious processing information. The people who disappeared from your life, that wasn't abandonment. The doors that closed, those weren't failures. Every single one of these experiences has been the quantum field reorganizing itself around your new frequency. The universe has been moving pieces off the board that don't match where you're going. It's been clearing channels. It's been creating space. It's been preparing you for a reality that requires a completely different version of you to experience it. Think about the caterpillar dissolving in the cocoon. From the outside, it looks like death. From the inside, it probably feels like annihilation. But encoded in the caterpillar's DNA are cells called imaginal cells. These cells carry the blueprint for the butterfly. And when the conditions are right, when the caterpillar has completely liquefied, these imaginal cells activate and begin building something entirely new from the dissolved material of what came before. You are in the cocoon. The dissolution you've experienced wasn't destruction. It was preparation. And the imaginal cells of your quantum blueprint have been activating one by one, creating the structure for a version of you that your old self couldn't even imagine. But here's what makes this moment so critical. There's a window. A specific period where the reset is most active, most potent, most available. And that window is open right now. The quantum field operates in cycles. There are moments when reality is more fluid, when the boundaries between possible and impossible become thin, when consciousness can make leaps that would be impossible under normal conditions. Ancient traditions tracked these cycles. They built their calendars around them. They designed their rituals to align with them. We've entered one of those windows, not just for you individually, but for collective consciousness. There's a wave of awakening moving through humanity, and you're riding the leading edge of it. The frequency you've been feeling, the restlessness, the knowing, the inexplicable pull toward transformation. Millions of people are experiencing this simultaneously because we're all connected in the same quantum field. When enough observers shift their frequency, the entire field begins to reorganize. What seemed impossible yesterday becomes inevitable today. What felt solid and unchangeable yesterday becomes fluid and malleable today. The rules themselves are changing because consciousness is remembering what it's always been capable of. And you're not just experiencing this shift, you're creating it. Every moment you choose awareness over unconsciousness, presence over pattern, truth over conditioning, you're collapsing new possibilities into reality. Not just for yourself, for everyone your field touches. Close your eyes for a moment. Actually do it. Put your hand on your chest and take 3 deep breaths. not the shallow breathing you've been doing while your nervous system runs on survival mode. Real breaths. The kind that fill your belly, expand your ribs, reach into the spaces that have been contracted for years. What do you feel? Beneath the thoughts, beneath the anxiety about what you need to do later, beneath the stories about what happened earlier. What's alive in your body right this moment? There's an intelligence there. It's been trying to get your attention. It speaks in sensation, in intuition, in the subtle knowing that bypasses logic. This intelligence has watched you try to think your way into transformation. It's watched you collect information, attend workshops, read books, listen to teachers, and it's been patient, waiting for the moment when you'd finally drop from your head into your body, from knowing about truth to being truth. That intelligence is activating right now. You might feel it as warmth spreading through your chest, as tingling in your hands, as a subtle vibration running through your spine, as emotion rising that doesn't have a story attached to it. This is your quantum field responding to alignment. Your body is not separate from the quantum field. It's not a container for consciousness. It is consciousness taking form. Every cell is a miniature version of the entire universe. Every atom contains the same creative force that births galaxies. You're not in the universe. You are the universe expressing itself as a human being. And right now, that expression is changing frequency. Dr. Joe Dispenza's research shows something extraordinary. When people enter coherent states of consciousness through meditation, their brain patterns change in measurable ways. But more than that, the electromagnetic field generated by their heart, which is 60 times stronger in amplitude than the field generated by their brain, begins to broadcast a completely different signature. That signature reaches several feet beyond your physical body. It affects the people around you before you even speak. It influences probability fields, making certain outcomes more likely and others less likely. It's literally reshaping reality at the quantum level. Most people are broadcasting incoherent signals. Their thoughts say one thing, their emotions say another. Their beliefs contradict both, and their actions come from a completely different place. The quantum field receives this mixed message and responds by creating a mixed reality. Moments of flow followed by moments of resistance. Glimpses of possibility followed by crashes back into limitation. But coherence? That's different. Coherence is when every level of your being aligns. When your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions all broadcast the same frequency. When there's no internal contradiction, no unconscious resistance, no split between who you say you are and who you're actually being. In that state of coherence, the quantum field has no choice but to respond. Reality reorganizes itself around your frequency because that's how the universe works. It's not magic, it's physics. And your quantum reset is about nothing less than establishing a new baseline of coherence that becomes your natural state. There's a version of your life that exists right now, not in some distant future, not as a reward for enough effort, not as something you need to earn. It exists this moment as a probability wave in the quantum field, waiting for your consciousness to collapse it into physical form through the frequency you embody. In that reality, you wake up without the familiar heaviness. Your first thoughts aren't reviewing yesterday's failures or rehearsing today's worries. You open your eyes, and there's just presence, just aliveness, just a quiet joy that doesn't need a reason. In that reality, your body feels different. The chronic tension you've carried in your shoulders has dissolved. The anxiety that lived in your stomach has transmuted. The fatigue that colored everything has been replaced by an energy that flows without effort. In that reality, your relationships reflect your worth back to you. People show up with respect, with honesty, with genuine connection. The ones who can't match your frequency naturally fall away, not through conflict, but through gentle divergence, and you let them go without guilt because you understand that alignment is everything. In that reality, opportunities appear before you're even fully aware you wanted them. Resources materialize through channels you couldn't have predicted. Synchronicities multiply to the point where they're no longer surprising. They're just how your life works now. In that reality, you've stopped performing. You've stopped pretending. You've stopped managing other people's perceptions of you. You simply exist as you are. And that authenticity is magnetic in ways that all your previous strategies never were. This isn't fantasy. This isn't wishful thinking. This is a real timeline that your quantum field can access the moment your frequency stabilizes at that level. And your quantum reset is the mechanism that makes that stabilization possible. But here's what most people miss. You don't get there by trying to be there. You don't create that reality by visualizing it or affirming it or forcing yourself to feel emotions you don't actually feel. You access it by releasing everything that's preventing you from being it naturally. Think about it. Right now, you're carrying weight that isn't yours. Beliefs you absorbed from your family without questioning them. Emotional patterns you learned from watching the adults around you navigate their pain. Identities you constructed to survive environments that no longer exist. None of that is you. It's what you learned to do, to be, to believe in order to make it through. And it worked. You survived. That version of you deserves gratitude for getting you here. But it cannot take you where you're going. The quantum reset is your consciousness finally getting permission to drop the weight, to shed the false identities, to release the inherited limitations, to dissolve the protective mechanisms that have become prisons. And when that happens, when the accumulated layers of not you fall away, what remains is your essential frequency. The vibration you came into this life carrying before the world taught you to be someone else. That frequency is still there, underneath everything. And it's incredibly powerful. You've been noticing things. Small things at first, easy to dismiss. Then bigger things that are harder to ignore. Let me name them so you know you're not imagining this. Time has been behaving strangely. Hours disappear when you're absorbed in something aligned. Minutes stretch endlessly when you're forcing yourself through something that no longer fits. This isn't just subjective experience. Your consciousness is beginning to operate outside linear time. You're accessing what Einstein proved, but most people never experience. Time is relative to the observer. Your tolerance for inauthenticity has vanished. Conversations that used to be fine now feel physically uncomfortable. Environments you used to navigate easily now drain you in minutes. People you used to accommodate now trigger immediate boundaries. This isn't you becoming difficult. This is your system rejecting frequencies that interfere with your reset. You're having moments of profound knowing that bypass logic entirely. You meet someone and instantly understand things about them that should take months to discover. You walk into a situation and know exactly how it's going to unfold. You think of someone and they contact you within hours. Your intuitive abilities are sharpening because you're accessing information from the quantum field directly, not through the filtered lens of conditioning. Dreams have become more vivid, more symbolic, more instructional. You're receiving downloads while you sleep. Your subconscious is processing the reset, integrating new frequencies, clearing old patterns. Sometimes you wake up exhausted because the work happening in your sleep is more intense than your waking activity. This is normal. This is necessary. Your emotional range has expanded dramatically. You feel everything more deeply. Joy is more ecstatic. Grief is more profound. Anger is more clarifying. Love is more expansive. This isn't instability. This is your emotional body finally getting permission to feel fully after years of managing, controlling, suppressing. Emotions are energy in motion, and that energy needs to move for the reset to complete. You've been guided to specific information at exactly the right time. Books fall open to the precise page you needed to read. Videos appear in your feed that speak directly to what you're experiencing. Conversations with strangers contain the exact message you required. This is the quantum field orchestrating synchronicity because you're receptive to guidance now in ways you weren't before. Physical symptoms have appeared without medical explanation. Tingling in your hands, pressure in your third eye, heat moving through your spine, ringing in your ears. Doctors find nothing wrong because nothing is wrong. These are symptoms of energy moving, channels opening, your physical body adjusting to hold higher frequencies. You feel simultaneously more connected to everything and more separate from the collective trance. You can see the programming running in others that you used to participate in unconsciously. You feel compassion for the struggle without getting pulled back into it. You exist in the world, but you're not of it in the same way anymore. If even half of these signs resonate, your reset isn't coming. It's here. The activation has begun. The only question is whether you're going to resist it or allow it. Whether you're going to try to control it or surrender to it. Whether you're going to let your mind interfere or let your body lead. Let me explain what's actually happening at the level of consciousness and energy. Not so you can understand it intellectually, but so you can work with it consciously instead of being unconsciously buffeted by it. Your nervous system has been operating in survival mode for so long that it forgot there are other modes available. The sympathetic nervous system, fight, flight, freeze, has been your default state. Your body has been convinced that threat is constant, that vigilance is necessary, that letting your guard down means danger. This creates a specific brainwave pattern. Beta waves dominate. Sometimes high beta, which is essentially anxiety as a constant state. Your consciousness is fragmented across 1,000 concerns. You're never fully here, because part of you is always scanning for threat, rehearsing responses, trying to prevent bad outcomes. In this state, you're collapsing quantum possibilities that match survival consciousness, limited resources, competitive dynamics, scarcity, separation. Your observation creates more of what you're trying to escape because that's the frequency you're broadcasting. But the quantum reset initiates a fundamental shift in your nervous system. The parasympathetic system begins to activate. Your body starts to receive the message that you're safe enough to drop out of survival mode. This isn't something you force. It's something you allow through presence, through breath, through conscious connection with your body. As your nervous system shifts, your brainwave patterns change. Beta gives way to alpha. Alpha gives way to theta. In theta, you're accessing the subconscious directly. The programs running beneath your awareness become visible. The beliefs you didn't know you had surface for examination. The emotional charges stored in your cellular memory begin to release. This is why the reset can feel destabilizing. You're not just changing your thoughts. You're reorganizing the actual structure of your consciousness. Neural pathways that have been firing together for decades are being dismantled. New pathways are being carved. Your brain is literally rewiring itself. Neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity, and it used to be thought that this kind of change was only possible in childhood. But recent research proves that consciousness can rewire the brain at any age. Every time you choose differently, think differently, feel differently, you're creating new neural connections and weakening old ones. The ancient yogis understood this without modern equipment. They called it samskara dissolution, the breaking down of mental impressions and karmic patterns. They knew that transformation wasn't about adding something new. It was about removing the accumulated layers of conditioning until your true nature could shine through unobstructed. Your quantum reset is doing exactly this. It's dissolving the samskaras, breaking down the neural patterns, clearing the energetic debris. And as this happens, your electromagnetic field changes. The HeartMath Institute has measured this. When people shift from incoherent to coherent states, their heart's electromagnetic field becomes more organized, more powerful, more influential. This field extends beyond your body. It touches everyone you encounter. It influences probability clouds in the quantum field. It literally changes what's possible in your reality. Not through manipulation or force, but through pure resonance. Like a tuning fork causing other tuning forks to vibrate at the same frequency. As your field stabilizes at this new frequency, reality has no choice but to reorganize itself around you. People who can't match your vibration fall away. Opportunities that match it appear. Synchronicities multiply. Your external world becomes a mirror of your internal shift. But here's the critical piece most people miss. The reset happens in layers. You don't shift once and you're done. You shift, integrate, stabilize. Then you shift again to a higher frequency, integrate, stabilize. Then again. Each layer releases deeper patterns, activates dormant potentials, opens new dimensions of consciousness. Right now, you're in one of these layers. And the intensity you're feeling? That's not a sign something's wrong. That's evidence that something is profoundly right. Your system is finally doing the deep cleaning it's needed for years. There's a version of you that's been running your life from behind the scenes. It's not the you that you think you are. It's not the you that you present to the world. It's the you that was constructed in moments of pain, forged in experiences of rejection, built from the need to survive environments that didn't feel safe. This version of you has a voice. You hear it every day. It's the one that says, "Don't get your hopes up." The one that whispers, "Who do you think you are?" The one that reminds you of every past failure when you consider a new possibility. The one that keeps you small, keeps you safe, keeps you stuck. This voice isn't trying to harm you. It's trying to protect you. It learned, often very young, that stepping into your full power was dangerous, that being seen fully led to shame, that expressing your authentic self resulted in rejection. So it created strategies to keep you safe. People-pleasing, overachieving, staying invisible, building walls, controlling everything, trusting nothing. These strategies worked. They got you through. But they were never meant to be permanent. They were survival mechanisms for situations that no longer exist. And now they've become the bars of your cage. Your quantum reset is inviting this version of you to retire. Not through violence, not through rejection, but through loving acknowledgement and gentle release. This part of you has carried a burden it was never meant to carry forever. And it's exhausted. Can you feel it? The exhaustion of maintaining the performance. The weariness of scanning for threat. The fatigue of managing everyone else's perception of you. The heaviness of carrying stories that stopped being true years ago. That exhaustion is actually grace. It's your system telling you it's ready to put down the weight. The defenses that once protected you have become the very thing limiting you. And something deeper in you knows it's time. But here's what makes this tricky. The ego doesn't want to die. It can't distinguish between transformation and annihilation. So as you approach this threshold, resistance intensifies. Old patterns that you thought you'd healed resurface with surprising strength. Addictive behaviors you'd moved beyond suddenly seem appealing again. The familiar pull of drama, of chaos, of anything that lets you avoid this moment of surrender. This resistance isn't a sign you're failing. It's evidence that you're at the edge of real transformation. The caterpillar's survival instinct would fight the cocoon if it could. The seed would resist breaking open if it had a choice. But nature doesn't give them a choice. The force of evolution is too strong. You have a choice. You can fight this. You can cling to the familiar. You can keep trying to improve the old version instead of allowing the new one to emerge. Or you can surrender. You can let the old identity dissolve. You can trust that what you are beneath all the conditioning is far more powerful, far more beautiful, far more real than anything you constructed to survive. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means giving in to what wants to happen naturally when you stop interfering. It means releasing control to a deeper intelligence. It means trusting that the force orchestrating this reset knows what it's doing. The Taoists call this Wu Wei, effortless action, perfect alignment with the natural flow. The Christians call it Thy will be done, surrendering personal will to divine will. The Buddhists call it letting go of attachment, but they're all pointing to the same quantum principle. When you stop resisting the evolution of your consciousness, transformation happens with a grace that effort could never achieve. So right now, I'm asking you to make a choice. Not with your thinking mind. That part of you will never be ready. Ask your body. Ask the part of you that's been waiting for permission to shed this skin. Ask the consciousness that existed before you learned to be afraid. Are you willing to let the old version die? Are you willing to stop defending an identity that was only ever meant to be temporary? Are you willing to find out who you are when you're not trying to be someone? If you feel the weight beginning to lift, if something in you is saying yes even while your mind hesitates, type these 2 words below. I surrender. This isn't defeat. This is the most powerful declaration you can make. You're telling your quantum field that you're ready to release what no longer serves the truth of who you are. Take a breath into that question. Let it settle into your cells, and notice what arises. Not as thought, but as sensation, as knowing, as truth that exists beneath the noise of the mind. Here's what I need you to understand about this exact moment in time. There are windows in the quantum field when transformation becomes exponentially easier, when the resistance that normally makes change feel impossible suddenly softens, when the boundaries between who you've been and who you're becoming blur enough that you can step across. You're in one of those windows right now, not because I'm telling you that you are, but because your quantum field orchestrated this moment. It guided you here through a series of seeming coincidences that were actually coordinated synchronicities. The restlessness you've been feeling, the dissatisfaction with the old patterns, the hunger for something more, all of it has been building to this point. Think about how you found this video. What were you doing before you clicked? What were you feeling? What were you seeking? Your consciousness was already reaching toward this frequency, and this frequency was reaching back. The quantum field brought you here because you're ready for what happens next. But this window won't stay open indefinitely. Not because there's artificial scarcity or because the universe is testing you, but because quantum windows operate in cycles. There are moments when the membrane between realities is thin, when consciousness can make leaps that would take years under normal circumstances. And there are moments when that membrane thickens again, when transformation requires more force, more time, more struggle. Ancient traditions knew this. They built their initiation rituals around these windows. They understood that there are auspicious moments when a single choice, a single shift in consciousness, can alter the entire trajectory of a life. The I Ching speaks of this as the time is now. The Bhagavad Gita describes it as the moment when Arjuna must choose whether to engage in the battle. Every hero's journey contains this threshold moment, when the call to adventure becomes too loud to ignore and the old life must be left behind. This is your threshold. This is your call. And the fact that you're still reading, still present, still feeling the resonance of these words in your body, that's confirmation that part of you has already decided. But another part is terrified. It's screaming warnings. It's listing all the ways this could go wrong. It's reminding you of every time you got your hopes up and were disappointed. It's offering you very logical reasons to stay safe, to wait, to gather more information before you commit to anything. That voice is not your intuition. That's fear wearing the mask of wisdom. Real intuition doesn't come from your head. It comes from your gut, from your heart, from a knowing that doesn't need to explain itself. And if you drop beneath the noise of that fearful voice, beneath the mental chatter, what does your deepest knowing tell you? You already know. You've always known. There's a part of you that has never forgotten who you really are, what you came here to do, what becomes possible when you finally step into your authentic frequency. That part has been waiting patiently while you explored all the detours, learned all the lessons, gathered all the wisdom you needed for this moment. And now it's asking, are you ready? Not, will you be ready someday? Not, could you be ready if conditions were perfect? Are you ready now, in this moment, with everything exactly as it is, to step through this doorway into your quantum reset? Let me tell you what happens when you fully commit to this reset. Not what you hope might happen. Not what could happen if you're lucky. What actually happens when your consciousness aligns with this frequency. First, there's a period of dissolution. Everything that isn't serving your highest timeline begins to fall away. This might look like chaos from the outside. Relationships end. Jobs conclude. Living situations change. Plans you were attached to disintegrate. The structures you built your identity around start to crumble. This dissolution is necessary. You cannot pour new wine into old wineskins. You cannot build a new reality on the foundation of the old one. The quantum field is clearing space, removing what cannot come with you, making room for what wants to emerge. During this phase, trust becomes your greatest practice. Every part of you that learned to control, to force, to manage will be activated. You'll want to fix what's falling apart. You'll want to prevent the losses. You'll want to hold on to the familiar even when it's clearly dissolving. But if you can breathe through the discomfort, if you can trust the intelligence of this process, something miraculous happens. Beneath the dissolution, a new structure begins to form, like the butterfly forming inside the liquefied caterpillar, like the phoenix rising from the ashes, like the seed splitting open to become the tree. You'll start to notice new patterns emerging. Different kinds of people appear in your life. Ones who see you, who match your authentic frequency, who don't need you to be anything other than what you are. Opportunities arise that you couldn't have predicted or planned for. Resources materialize through unexpected channels. Your creativity explodes because you're finally accessing the quantum field directly instead of trying to recombine old information. Your body changes. That chronic pain you've carried for years suddenly releases. Your energy levels stabilize at a higher baseline. You need less sleep but feel more rested. You look different. People comment on it even though they can't articulate what's changed. What's changed is that you're inhabiting your body fully for the first time. Your consciousness has come home to your physical form. Your perception sharpens. You see through people's masks to their essential nature. You recognize truth instantly, and lies make you physically uncomfortable. You can feel the energetic signature of environments before you enter them. You know which choices lead to expansion and which lead to contraction without needing to analyze. Time becomes fluid. You accomplish in hours what used to take weeks. You find yourself in the right place at the right time with increasing frequency. Synchronicities aren't occasional surprises anymore. They're how your life operates now. The universe is speaking to you constantly, and you've learned its language. But perhaps most importantly, you stop seeking. Not because you have everything you want, but because you realize you are everything you've been seeking. The peace you were chasing. It's your natural state when you're not resisting what is. The love you were trying to find. It's what you are beneath the conditioning. The purpose you were desperate to discover. It reveals itself when you stop forcing and start listening. If you're feeling this shift happening in real time as you read these words, claim it in the comments with one word: recalibrated. Let this declaration mark the moment you stopped seeking outside yourself and started remembering what you've always been. Your quantum field responds to clarity, and this word carries the frequency of your transformation. This is what stabilization looks like. Not a return to the old normal, a completely new baseline that becomes effortless to maintain because it's aligned with your true nature instead of fighting against it. We've reached the moment where this shifts from information to activation, where you stop being a passive receiver and become an active participant in your own reset. What I'm about to ask you to do might seem simple, but it carries quantum weight. In the comments below, I want you to write exactly these words. My quantum reset has begun. Not, I hope my reset begins. Not, I'm trying to reset. Not, maybe this will work for me. The quantum field responds to clarity, to certainty, to declarations made from your whole being. When you write those words, you're doing something far more powerful than leaving a comment. You're making a commitment to the universe. You're stating your intention to the quantum field. You're announcing that you're available for this transformation. You're giving permission for the reset to accelerate. And here's the physics of why this matters. When you make a clear declaration, you create coherence. All the scattered aspects of your consciousness align around that statement. Your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and intentions synchronize. And in that moment of coherence, you collapse quantum possibilities into reality. Every person who reads your declaration witnesses it, which strengthens it. Every consciousness that resonates with your words amplifies the frequency. You're not just declaring this for yourself. You're contributing to a collective field of transformation that's gaining momentum. But the declaration has to be authentic. If you write those words while your system is screaming, "This is nonsense," you create incoherence. If you write them as a test to see if something happens, you're observing from doubt instead of certainty. The quantum field responds to what you actually are in the moment of observation, not what you're pretending to be. So before you write those words, take a moment. Put your hand on your heart. Take 3 deep breaths. Feel into the truth of this. Your reset isn't something that might happen in the future. It's happening right now. The fact that you've watched this video to this point, that these words have resonated in your field, that something in you has been activated, that's evidence that the reset is already in motion. You're not declaring something you hope will be true. You're acknowledging something that is true. You're recognizing a process that's already begun. You're consciously aligning with what your quantum field is already doing. Now write it. My quantum reset has begun. And as you write those words, feel them land in your body. Feel the truth of them settle into your cells. Feel your nervous system respond to the certainty. Feel the quantum field organizing itself around your declaration. This is not manifestation. This is recognition. This is not creating something new. This is acknowledging what's real. This is not hoping or wishing or wanting. This is knowing. Your quantum reset doesn't end when this video ends. It's not a one-time event. It's a process that will continue to deepen layer by layer for as long as you allow it. Every choice you make from this point forward either reinforces your new frequency or pulls you back toward the old one. Every thought you choose to think, every emotion you allow yourself to feel, every action you take is either aligned with who you're becoming or who you've been. This requires vigilance, but not the stressful kind. Not the kind where you're monitoring yourself with judgment. The kind where you're simply aware. Where you notice when old patterns try to reassert themselves. Where you catch yourself slipping back into familiar limiting beliefs. Where you recognize the voice of fear pretending to be wisdom. And in those moments, you have a choice. You can follow the old pathway because it's comfortable and known, or you can pause, breathe, and consciously choose the response that matches your new frequency. Each time you choose alignment, you strengthen that neural pathway. You make it easier to choose it next time. Eventually, your new frequency becomes your default state. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because what's coming in the next videos will take you deeper into the quantum reset process. I'm going to show you specific practices that accelerate the integration. I'm going to reveal the hidden blocks that most people don't recognize until they're shown. I'm going to guide you through the layers of transformation that await beyond this initial activation. This isn't just content. This is a frequency transmission. Every video on this channel is designed to activate specific potentials in your consciousness, to dissolve specific limitations, to remind you of specific truths that your conditioning has obscured. The people who find this channel aren't random. You were guided here by your quantum field because you're ready for this level of work. You're part of a global network of consciousness that's waking up to its true nature, remembering its power, stepping into its purpose. And as each person resets to their authentic frequency, they affect everyone around them. Your transformation isn't just about you. It's about everyone whose life you touch. Every person who witnesses you operating from your true nature gets permission to access their own. Every interaction you have from coherence instead of conditioning creates ripples in the collective field. This is how we change the world. Not through fighting against what we don't want. Not through forcing others to see what we see. But through each person doing the internal work of resetting to their authentic frequency. As enough individuals transform, the collective field reaches a tipping point. What seemed impossible yesterday becomes inevitable today. You're not alone in this. You're part of a quantum wave of awakening consciousness, and your reset contributes to the momentum that makes everyone else's reset easier. Look at the videos appearing on your screen right now. Each one represents a different dimension of your transformation. Whichever one calls to you most strongly, that's not random. That's your quantum field showing you what activation needs to happen next. Trust that pull. Follow that resonance. Your higher self is guiding you through the exact sequence of frequencies your consciousness needs to integrate. The moment you fully accept that your quantum reset has begun, reality shifts. Not tomorrow. Not when conditions are perfect. Right now, in this breath, in this choice, in this declaration. You are not the person who started this video. That version of you has been observed into a new configuration. Your cells are different. Your neural pathways are different. Your electromagnetic field is broadcasting a new frequency, and the quantum field is already responding. Watch for the signs. Notice the synchronicities that appear in the next 24 hours. Pay attention to the people who show up differently. Observe how opportunities begin to materialize. Feel how your body holds itself with new ease. This is your confirmation. This is the universe saying, I hear you. I see you. I'm reorganizing reality around your new frequency. The old you was a passive experiencer of life. The new you is the conscious creator of your reality. The old paradigm was reacting to what happens. The new paradigm is choosing what happens through the frequency you embody. Your quantum reset has begun. Not because I told you it has, but because your consciousness recognized itself in these words and chose to align with this truth. Now go write your declaration. Claim your reset. And step fully into the reality that's been waiting for you to become ready. The quantum field is listening. What will you create from this new frequency? This is your moment. This is your threshold. This is your quantum reset. Welcome home.